Hello, Working Mommy Manual listeners.
Hello, good morning.
That's Kathleen Wilson.
And that's Nicole Corning.
Did you almost forget my last name?
I was going to call you Nick, and then I'm like, Nikki, and then I said, no, she's Nicole right now.
You know what is so cute? My brother and his family came in last week to the office, and they walked up to the front desk and asked Emily if Nicole Winborn was there. She was like, we have two Nicoles. None of them are Winborns, as far as I know.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, it was really cute.
That is cute.
I know.
Your niece is so adorable, by the way.
Oh, my God.
I love her.
Okay, y'all, my niece. I know everyone's biased. Everyone's kids are the smartest. Everyone's kids are gifted. Everyone's kids are the prettiest and the coolest. My niece is legitimately one of the most amazing human beings walking the planet. And back me up on this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she is she talks to anyone.
Yes.
She makes friends everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
She actually said to me, she's like, everybody likes me. And I'm like, they do. Now I will teach her eventually.
Yeah.
You do not need to be liked by everyone.
Exactly.
And you do not need to like everyone.
Right.
So actually, that is my mom hack. I'm going to start off right out of the gate with my mom hack, which is teach your children that not everyone is going to like them and they are not going to like everyone. And that's okay.
Right.
You still treat everyone with respect.
No, it's so true. It's funny.
You don't need to like them though.
Right. Well, and actually that's a kind of a good segue on what we want to speak about today, because we wanted to talk about lessons learned from our parents and how we basically implement those today.
And like the perspective
Yes.
of we thought our parents were so stupid.
Yes.
And now we're like, oh my God, we were such assholes.
We were teen holes.
We were teen holes.
No,
We're going to come clean. We were teen holes. It was awful.
Well, it's just really funny because, my perspective, when my mom's single mom, 5 kids, I worked, I cooked, I cleaned, I paid bills, I had to go get the power put back on, like all of those responsibilities.
Okay, that's actually not normal.
Normal kids don't do that.
Normal kids don't have to get the electricity turned back on, Kat.
Hot water? How about hot water, anybody?
Like doing their laundry is kind of baseline normal.
That's exactly it.
But the other thing is, it's not totally abnormal. So I think we need to, and I always say this, we need to take ourselves out of our bubble, because our listenership and people who are listening to podcasts about being a working mom are probably nice middle class folks, right?
But they have backgrounds.
They have backgrounds, but like most people in the U.S. actually live on a lot less than you think that they live on, and they are struggling a lot more financially than you think. Everyone's looking at TikTok and keeping up with the Joneses or whatever else. Like actually, most people are scraping by. So there are people who are listening who probably do have to turn the lights back on sometimes.
Right.
And that's all right.
Yes.
We're here for you.
So what my segue
Call
point...
Kat. Beep, 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 boop,
Exactly. I'll fill you in. Let me tell you how this goes. I'd be like, Mother, are
Here's
you
how you
serious?
scam the utility department.
Well, the funny thing is, we couldn't scam them. They were like, look, you didn't pay. It's turned off. And so I would come home and I'm like,
no, you scammed on the laundromat.
Yes, the laundromat. Let's talk about okay.
That's your mom hack. Oh, do you tell that? That's your mom hack. And then we'll have our mom. Well, you have another one. But.
Well, we don't actually even have laundry services with change anymore. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to a laundromat probably since then.
I feel like some of them still take quarters.
Okay.
Most of them take credit cards, but I still think you can get some that take quarters.
So I learned at like 5th or 6th grade, we had a laundromat in our apartment complex, and all the kids, we all hung out together, and I'm like, oh, I got to go do laundry. And my one friend taught me that if you take the quarter, we have 75 cents. This is like, now I'm being real vulnerable.
Real. Now we're being real.
But we would take the 3/4 and you taped dental floss around it, and you made it so here's the quarter. So
it was like really stuck on there.
Like 6 inches or so, you would just tape it on there.
She said.
I know. Yeah. Thank you, Dale. That's a Dale.
Thanks, Dale.
And then what you would do is you'd put the 3/4 in, you hang on tight to the dental floss, and you shove it in and you pull it out, and the water would start running. And then I was like, Mom, I just saved us 75 cents. We do all of our laundry off of
75 cents. No, or free. Because you didn't even give it to them at the end. You were like, nope, sorry.
That is so funny.
We got to give it to the utility company to get our lights turned back on.
So sometimes the children do teach the parents about how to be thrifty, I guess.
Mom hacks all day right here. Anyway, so we realized we kind of threw our kids under the bus with the teen hole episode.
A lot.
And, you know, I've had a lot of things this year that's made me think about my parents and how much I value them and how I wish I hadn't been a teen hole to them when I was younger and the things that they've taught me, because I've had 3 good friends lose parents, and I knew their parents. So one of them, our friends Becky and Pam lost their mom. My friend Katie and Colleen just lost their mom this last week. I just went to the services for that. And my friend Alicia lost her mom. And these were like cornerstone moms. So these weren't like, and actually I think even if you have a terrible relationship with your mom, sometimes it's worse when you lose a parent who you have a terrible relationship with, because it's like, well, that's it,
There's
right?
no making amends.
There's no making amends. So as awful but these moms were like the cornerstones of their family. And then also my brother came to town. So anyway, I was thinking about like, gosh, you know, like life is fleeting. This is when people are losing their parents. And then my brother came to town, and he was, I love you so much, Sean, but you were such an asshole to our parents. I know. And I love Sean so much, but it's like he's not connected yet to like what happens. Like they're almost 80 and they're very different from when they raised us. Like your mom, you know, taught you how to turn the utilities back on. My parents had their issues and we learned from that. But our parents loved us. And that's amazing. And you can forgive so much from that. But anyway, that got me thinking about like valuing how much I value my parents now, so much more than I did when I was younger. Because when you're raising kids, you're like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing.
No, it's true. I mean, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, we read the books about, you know, what to expect while expecting. But there wasn't any books to say this is how you're supposed to raise your kids or this is the right way or wrong way. And actually, when Dale
Except
and
for the Working Mommy's Manual.
True.
You can get that book.
Does.
You can listen to this podcast. We can tell you.
Yes.
But true, but that's high level.
Yeah.
Like the in the weeds every day, don't lose your shit.
Yeah.
Raising your kids.
Yeah.
Like that's the real stuff. That's the hard work. So what were, and I know we talked about this a little bit, but what were some things that your mom did when you were younger that you were either like resentful or dismissive of, and now you're like, oh, I can't believe.
I think that it was spending time with her as a teenager. And you tell me if you experienced this. I'm sure some of the listeners have experienced this before, but like I would work all the time. I mean, I had to work. So when I would work all the time and then
as a teenager,
I would come home and then my family was coming around. I'd be very like, I don't want to talk to anybody right now. I don't want to, you're annoying. I'm feeling this tension that I don't. So we had to have family counseling, thanks to my sister. So anyway, we had counseling and my mom's like, you guys don't spend time with me anymore. I want to hang out with you and you want nothing to do with me. And I miss you. We used to, when you were little, we would go to the beach all the time. We would hang out. And then as teenagers, we didn't want anything to do with them. And now I'm experiencing that right now with my kids. And so it resonates with me now.
It's, well, you know, my parents, I don't know that my parents wanted to spend that much time with me.
My mom, I mean, she worked all the time, but when she had a day off, this was our lunch. We would get like white bread. It wasn't even Wonder Bread because it was too expensive. White bread, bologna, and then
I love me some fried bologna and scrambled eggs. Let me just tell you, my grandmother made that for me all growing up.
That's so cute. And then
cheers, Butchie.
Yes. And then she would have that Lipton onion dip and sour cream with Ruffles.
That is crack cocaine.
That was it. That was our treat, and a 6-pack of Coke. And we would go to the beach and we would play all day, and that's what we would do. That was like everything to us. And so now when I see that, and you know, when you take our kids to go to nice restaurants or do something nice for them, I don't think they get it and we don't want them to experience what we had experienced. I don't want our children to have to worry about, is the light's going to be off when I get home, or am I going to have hot water tonight? That's something. That's why I've worked so hard to get where
who's
we're
going to
at.
freak out?
Yeah.
Like, who's going to fight? Like,
exactly. Who's leaving tonight?
Who's leaving tonight? Where do I need to hide tonight?
Yes. So a lot of that, she was doing the best that she could with what she had. And to her, that was a lot. And then as we were growing up and becoming teenagers, she really felt like she was fighting the world. And I don't blame her, because both of us have 2 kids on our own. And we have, other individuals who are helping us out, my husband, your ex-husband, and to be...
Oh, wait, my ex-husband is helping you out?
I don't know. Maybe he's talking to the kids. Maybe he's talking to the kids.
Is he just cashing my check?
Probably.
He just is cashing my check. I just had to write a check yesterday. Oops. So, that was that. Yeah. Sorry.
Did you keep it clean?
No, I wrote what I wrote last year in the memo section. And my attorney's like, you can't write it. I'm like, am I going to jail? He's like, no. I'm like, am I going to have to pay him more? He's like, no. I'm like, am I getting sanctioned by the court? He's like, no. I'm like, we're going to just keep this honest then. If he's going to take from me, he's going to know exactly, eyes wide open. He will take from me with eyes wide open and honestly.
Right.
So anyway, but the point is,
well, you have your parents. So my parents help out.
Right? And that's the thing too. So my parents were not excellent caregivers in a traditional sense when I was younger. They loved me. They had their tools and they absolutely did their best. And I get all of that and I give them all the credit for that. And I didn't when I was younger. And I probably didn't until like maybe 10, 15 years ago because I think what happens is we're so self-centered when we're younger. And it's all about like me, and how is this affecting me? And my friends all have this, and their parents are like that. And why aren't my parents, can't they do this? And why can't they get me a car? And why can't they send me to Europe? And why can't they do all these things for me that my friends' parents are doing, right? And, anyway, so, and I think now that I'm older, I'm like, that was terrible. Like, I had no perspective of like so I think about, I grew up in Dorchester, which, people are like, oh, you grew up in the nice part of Dorchester. I'm like, oh, there wasn't a nice part of Dorchester in the 80s, but thanks for playing. So I grew up in inner city Boston, and it was, we didn't have a lot. And then we moved out to a very wealthy suburb when I was in high school. And we moved out because like my dad found a crack addict in my bedroom when I was 12.
Yes.
And he was like working third shift, but stayed home that night and stabbed him, not to death. So anyway, that was the kind of neighborhood I lived in.
Yes.
And I've told that story on past podcasts, so I'm not going to go over it here. But anyway, the point is, then I go out to this wealthy suburb, and I had this really, like when I was in Dorchester and everyone else was growing up in a, like, everyone else was humble in terms of what they had. It was strange, going into high school, and it's like, people live in these big houses and they buy their kids brand new cars when they turn 16 and they take them to Europe and and I remember asking my mother one time, and I wish I could take this back. I remember asking her why our house was always so dirty. I'm like,
have you talked to her about that?
You know what? I haven't, been going to call her up on the way home. Let's call her up from the car.
Okay.
We carpooled over here together. Yes. Let's call Susan. She'd be like, what, Nikki? What do you need?
By the way, but what was your mom's response when you asked her?
My mom's like, your friends' mothers don't work and they all have housekeepers. So if you want it to be clean, there's the vacuum.
Right.
And I actually did get that. Like when she told me and I was younger, I did actually have shame. When I was like, but like, how did I not get that?
Well, because you see what's going on around you and you're like, I wonder why ours is not like that, But like, you're just you're naive.
You're so naive.
Right.
And you're so naive.
Right.
So what are the other things that your mom did when you were younger that either you like have a very different perspective of or you incorporate now? Because it was awesome.
I think that, she really had hard rules because she would always tell us basically, if you guys, when she would have to work, and mind you, this was the 80s and we had an apartment. There was 4 of us at the time. My fifth sister came along later on in life. And she's like, it's 6:30, it's summer. And she's like, all right, you guys come on in. You got to go to bed. We're like, go to bed? And she's like, yeah, you have to go to bed because if I'm working and you guys get in trouble, you guys will be taken away from me, and that is not going to happen. And so me, little boss mom, is like, we're all going to bed 6:30 at night. And we would stay in our bunk beds. We wouldn't even run around the apartment or anything.
Oh my gosh.
We wouldn't even, I'm like such a rule follower because I didn't want us to get taken away. I didn't want the police showing up. And they did one time, but it wasn't the end of the world because we were older teenagers at this point. But still.
What did you get in trouble for?
What did we get in trouble for?
Yeah.
Someone called the police on us saying that the 4 kids were running around. I was just at my friend's house. So they came over and they were like, my mom had ordered pizza that night. So the police officer had opened our fridge and saw there's no food in there. And he was like, did you guys eat? And then there's like butter that's like, on a saucer on the table or whatever. My brother like looks and he goes, of course we did. We had pizza tonight. And so they felt like that was good enough, I guess. I don't know.
There's only so much everyone can do.
So the one thing that I did learn from her is that, rules, and that's where we go back to setting boundaries with your children, rules with the children, so that they understand there can be some serious consequences. Now, thank God my children don't have to worry about being taken away from me, knock on wood. I don't do anything anyway, but still, you know what?
You could only be so lucky if someone would because if someone took them away, they would bring them right back.
That's so true.
They would have them for like maybe a night and they would be like, ma'am.
They're expensive.
They are expensive. Those Instagram nails.
Oh, Lord.
And that bleach in their hair, like that is, and yeah, that's awfully expensive.
They are expensive. So I think really, and she really made sure that we knew what the rules were. We followed the rules, and that, it's just interesting though, because.
Did you ever resent her rules?
I got tired. I was exhausted by them because I was working all the time and still having to follow the rules. And I'm like, I didn't drink, but I'm like, why can't I come home and have a glass of wine? She didn't even drink either. But I'm like, I felt like I did all the stuff, and same thing, my friends.
So wait, did you drink in high school?
A little bit, not much, because I was always working.
Are you saying that because your kids are going to hear this?
No, I probably would have I would tell them anyway. But, we would, like when my friends, we were young, like 13, they were all drinking and we were going to the roller skate rink and I would have a couple beers. I really didn't start drinking until 16. I would have drinks. And then when I was 17, 18, then yes, I did drink. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you were a rule follower, which is interesting. So you carried that on.
Yes.
So you're like, I had rules and now
Yes.
So see, my house was very loosey-goosey. Mm-hmm. So like they were loosey-goosey, but then when we moved from Dorchester to like Sudbury, they were like, well, I mean, what can happen to you? Like, they're like, what? So I never had a curfew.
Oh, wow. I did. I had a curfew all the way through high school. I was like 10:30 at night, even my senior year in high school.
I don't think I've given my kids a curfew. Actually, I tell them, I'm like, I need you to be home by 12.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to be home by 12, you at least need to let me know you're not going to be home by 12.
Right.
And you need to let me know, like, and if you're going to stay out somewhere. But I think the thing that I learned because my parents really didn't have a lot of rules or boundaries for me is that I have that same philosophy where I'm like, you raise good kids who should be able to make good decisions.
Yes.
And they're not always going to make good decisions, but that's part of the learning process.
Right.
But I had expectation. I didn't have rules for my children. I had expectations.
Yes, I agree with that.
And I don't think my parents really had a lot of expectations for me either. Like they were very busy working and just like, I don't know. My parents weren't.
They were just like, look, don't bring the police home and everybody will be fine.
Although, did I ever tell you the story? Did I ever tell you a story
My
about...
sister, my brothers both brought the police home, so.
God. So I definitely drank in high school. I definitely had parties at my house. My brother had parties. And so my mom...
I did have a party. I did get busted too.
Ooh, you did?
I did, yeah, I'll tell you.
Did you get busted by your mom?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we had a huge party and they were supposed to be my uncle and my mom. went up to Canada. So it's not like you have to take a ferry. You got to drive a couple of hours. You have to take a ferry.
From Washington State.
Yes, from Washington State. Take a ferry across, go sightseeing all day. They're supposed to go for 2 nights. Well, they ended up just going for 1 night, and they got home late the next night. And we had this big window, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I think my friends were all smoking too. And I had a beer, and there was tons of people. It didn't matter. And I got lectured about the whole smoking thing, you know, and my grandfather had emphysema, and then someone broke a glass that I had to pay for. But anyway, it was really funny though.
Well, I mean, I got busted because I just would have, I didn't have too many parties because my parents didn't go away that much, but like, I had some epic parties. My brother did. And my mom got into a car accident after Shauna and I were both out of the house. And, the police officer in downtown Sudbury was like, oh, let me just drive you to your house. So he's pulling up and she's like, it's right there. He goes, I know that house. I'm like, sir, do you really need to? So my boys definitely have people over.
Yeah.
Like I go out of town. I travel a lot for business.
Yep.
You know, Kelly, my neighbor and really good friend is like, oh
Does
yeah.
she keep an eye out?
She does. She actually, for New Year's Eve, she was like, I almost came over like, hey, where's the party? Like in my pajamas with a big glass of wine. She's like, but I didn't know if Sam would be like really upset about that.
That is hilarious.
So I think I took from my parents to raise the kids to make the best decisions. Mm-hmm. And then, but I have expectations of them. So I don't have rules. I have expectations. And expectations are like, if you want to have a few friends over and like, you know, if you're going to have a few friends over and be social, I'm not going to freak out about it. But if you're going to have a raging party and do heroin, like, you need to know, you must know that is not within the boundaries of what is allowable. Yeah. Right.
Agreed.
And don't be disrespectful. And we have neighbors and, you know, don't, you know, just be mindful to be adults.
Right.
You know,
we had, so fast forward to, 4 years ago, Brooklyn was 16 years old and it was Dale and I, it was our 20th wedding anniversary. So we were like, let's just go to Vegas, go somewhere close. Or wait, maybe we were in California. I can't remember. We were in Vegas for whatever reason. And, I got a ring notification on my phone. So I looked it up and I was like, oh, look how cute this is. The exchange student who's staying with the lady from across the street is coming over to visit with Brooklyn. So they open the door and all I hear is rah, rah, rah. Like it is a full on party. And I was like, oh, Dale, they're having a party. So we have cameras like towards the doors, in the house. And so we pull them up and they're all turned around. So we call them. And then by then we started getting phone calls from our neighbors. And so it got shut down real fast. Yeah. I was not happy with them.
That's just inevitable. That is absolutely going to happen, right? So I want to shift a little bit because, I've had a couple of friends lose parents. You've lost your mom. Mm-hmm. So, and I haven't lost my mom and, knock on wood.
And she's young. She's a young mom.
My mom?
I mean, she's
young. She looks young and she's 78, Mm-hmm. But what, talk to me about the shift that happens when you lose a parent, especially that parent who was like always your confidant and the one you were like, hey, what am I supposed to do? Because I still call my mom.
Yes.
Like I was having trouble with Sammy. I called my parents. I was like, I know I'm 51, but I need my parents to come down and help me out.
Now I need the tissue.
No, there's no crying in baseball.
No.
How is that shift when you're like, I don't have that anymore and I am that?
Yes, no, it's so true. And, it feels really good. I'll use the situation where Dale was in the hospital and it was terrible. He had sepsis. He has a staph infection in his back. Sorry, Dale, if this is all a HIPAA violation.
By the way, Dale, you're a total fucker. Stop almost dying.
Exactly.
Kathleen and I are both seriously dependent on you right now.
So anyway, he's in the hospital and thank goodness we had Friday. It was Good Friday, was off. So I spent the day at the hospital. Thursday I was at the hospital. I logged in, I was working because he's just laying there. So you still work. And then Friday was Good Friday. And that's when Thursday night, we got all the news about what was going down. And I literally was like, I thought, I was like, what is happening right now? Like, this is real life and this is very scary and this could take a turn. And I was really nervous about that. And so,
And were you like, I wish my mom was here?
yes, 100%. And so that was really difficult. And I will say, like, because I called you that night and I was sobbing and I interrupted a dinner and I apologize about that.
Oh
but
my God. I need to,
know.
no, when you need, but that's the thing. Like, I think I have a capacity to forgive more than maybe my brother does at the moment, because I see how valuable our parents are and how like what an asset they are and how amazing they are, even when they're flawed, even when they're not perfect, even when they're not like, the best at math or the best at finances or the most level-headed or the therapist would co-sign on them being the most healthy person, mentally. Like, even when they are flawed human beings, there is a huge hole in your life when you don't have them.
Yes.
And you don't, and you, I'm like, I want for my brother to see how much they actually do and support and are giving.
Right.
Because I feel like he's only seeing the lack, like the things that they didn't do perfectly, the things that and those are the things that he's carrying around.
Right.
And I bet there are a lot of people listening who might even be in that same boat where they're like, fuck my parents. And they're like, they mistreated me when I was younger and they they weren't the best at this, that, or the other thing. They give me everything I needed. And, but at the end of the day, they really do supply a lot of love and support, even when they're flawed.
Yes. I mean, it was the same thing with my mom. It's the next day. So back to my story. And that night I called you and I was really upset. And then I woke up that next morning and I kind of felt a little defeated. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to cry.
You can cry.
So I called you again and you're like, are you okay? You don't sound very good. And I'm like, no, I'm really missing my mom right now because I needed to talk to her because the parents are the ones, especially your moms, are the ones that are going to listen to every little detail about your day or every little situation.
Because they actually do care.
They do care.
Usually. Not always. Like some have some narcissistic moms or whatever. Like there's some toxic relationships out there. But like 99% of the time, they actually they are more interested in what's going on in your lives than what are going on in their lives.
Right. No, it's so true. So that part was very hard. And then, so I came home and Brooklyn was sitting there and she's like, Mom, I'm here for you to talk to me. And I'm like, I know, but I'm your mother and I'm not your burden. And she's like, but you're not my burden. You're my mother. And I felt bad saying that, but because I felt like my mom, and this is probably where some of the resentment went with my mom, is that she was never a burden. I just felt like it was never enough. I always had to keep doing. And it was, not only are we not going to make the rent and the electricity is going out, now we have to pawn your boombox. We got to pawn this, we got to pawn that. And then I'm like, okay, so when are we getting the stuff back? And that constant living stress that was really hard. But no matter how hard my life was, she was everything to me. She was very flawed, but she was my flawed mom.
And we are, and I think there's also a recognition at our age that we are very flawed. Mm-hmm. Like I could name easily 4 or 5 things that I really and truly wish I had done differently with my boys. Mm-hmm.
No, I see those memes out there. Trust me, we're not the only ones. They're like, if I could just go back and hold you a little longer, talk to you a little softer, that whole number, I totally agree with that. Because we're not going to really know how bad we fucked them up until they've got families of their own.
And maybe they won't appreciate us until they have families of their own. But I think there is a sadness, but there's also a beauty in that recognition. And I think that is something that I am striving to internalize and incorporate now.
Yes, I think that's so smart.
Because I see all this lot, all these 3 sets of friends.
Yes.
So it was actually 5 friends who lost family, moms. And they were flawed moms. They were great moms, but they were flawed moms.
Right.
But like, how do you how do you forgive and incorporate the good parts of your mom? Because even if you're like, my mom is still like, absolutely, she's painful sometimes, and she and I'm painful to her.
Right,
Like
right.
it's a two-way street.
Yes.
Like we are both being painful to each other, right? But like I am so it sounds awful, but like I'm grateful that I recognize that I could lose her anytime.
Yes.
And that I'm going to even miss those flawed parts.
Well, you do, because, and sometimes when I start, now grief now is way different than it was 9 years ago. I mean, it's been 9 years, and thank God for that, because that first year, I think there are no words to tell you how hard grief is the first year. There are no words.
Drink some wine and stop
I know.
crying.
It's so crazy. I didn't expect us to go down this route.
I was like, we're going to go down the emotional. Oh my God, you know what's so funny? Do you know what Jonathan said to me yesterday or this morning? He was like, I said something about, because there's someone at work who's going through something very emotional. And I sat with that person and they cried.
Right.
And I held them like a human.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Jonathan about it. And he's like, because you're really working on crying yourself. So were you more empathetic? I'm like, oh my God. You are listening to my podcast and I am trying to be more empathetic.
You know what's really crazy about that? Because like, I don't feel like I cry as often as I used to. I'm probably crying more now just because we've had a lot on our plates, like go for quite a long time.
Like today at work?
Yeah.
Like what the hell happened today? Today a bomb cyclone went off in our office.
Legit. Yeah.
Do you like that I was pretty chill about how fucked up it was,
Yeah, I appreciated that because I was feeling it all. Like, I'm like, okay, we can't freak out about this. Like, we need to just figure it out.
That's it. Like, we've got to figure it out. We have the staff. We have the brain power.
That's exactly
Let's figure it out.
So
let's just make it work.
Yeah. So we got it done. It literally took me from 7:30 until 2:45 p.m. to get it all sorted out. And then at 2:45, I'm like, oh, I can actually breathe. I did eat in between there because it finally got to a point where I was like, I was starving and getting shaky. And I'm like, I have to eat at least. And then I walked out to our admin in the front and I'm like, good morning. How are you? And she's like, well, it's 2:45. You've had quite a day. I'm like, exactly. So she's like, I could tell. She's like, I didn't even come near you because.
I think the staff actually made up a word. They made up a word for what happened today.
What did they say?
I don't know. It was something like bombastogenic or something. Like it's like a weather. I don't know. We'll have to ask Steve tomorrow.
I'll
but
ask him.
It's like a weather. It's an actual weather thing that happens.
Oh gosh.
And it's like when there's a swiftly. He said it was when a swiftly gathering storm is about to hit. And I'm like, yeah, that was today. Except it hit, and we were like, what just happened?
No, seriously, but it was good.
Was it?
No,
I mean, it all. Well, we'll see tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow
Yeah,
is
look
the
at tomorrow.
moment of truth.
But
We had the best plan that we put in place.
we really did. Yeah,
So.
it's all good.
But that's when I was like, I'm going to Virginia tonight.
Yeah.
How
She's
about
like,
that?
Peace out. No, but you know
Bye.
what's really funny is that when you really think about the days, it's like, sometimes you just can't even help. Oh, is that me? It's probably work calling. Oh, it is. It is a work call.
Oh my gosh, seriously?
No, it's somebody calling me from the office, the app on my phone. Someone's calling. I called this this person back, and now they're like, "Oh, hi."
I got you.
Anyway, back to what we were talking about.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about grief and just how, like, thank goodness we're where we're at today because that first year is hard, and you have to recognize and sit with the grief. And I had to see a grief therapist because I thought I was fine until I wasn't, and then I started like having meltdowns over nothing. Oh, and to my husband.
Question for you:
Yeah.
Was any part of that grief related to the fact that you didn't appreciate your mom as much as you did when she was gone?
No.
That's awesome.
Well, the opposite happened when my mom was like, basically we had 7 days before she literally went into ICU and I never got to talk to her again to talk about what was happening. She was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and so I talked to her every day like, okay, this is what our plan is. My office is being awesome. They're going to send me home. I'm going to work here for 2 weeks, then go back go back and forth so I can spend time with you and all of this. And so she really started talking about, I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry, I was so mean. I'm like, Mom, you were not mean. Now, she was freaking mean. She was so mean. Like, she had to have that clean house because there were so many of us. Like, she did not like messes at all. And
I appreciate that.
yes. So when she would come home.
Because I think my sister-in-law thinks I'm like OCD, which I probably am because they stayed with me for a week and I just kept cleaning up after them.
Yeah.
But I kept cleaning up because I was like, I can. And I don't want you to feel awful that there's this big mess in my house.
Exactly.
And,
right.
you know, it takes me 2 seconds.
Yes. And so, but like if she were to come home and the house, like our room wasn't nice at all, or my brother's, like we had chore list, if it wasn't done the way it was supposed to, she would raise Cain. I don't care if it was 2 a.m., if it was 6 a.m., if it was 3 p.m. Like we were cleaning that house. And she would throw everything out of the drawers and everything in the middle and make us start over. I was like, oh,
Do you know why I
Lord.
think she did that too? Because when I was in my marriage and I was so alone and I was raising the boys on my own, in essence, and had this alcoholic husband doing terrible things, if the boys like wouldn't put their shoes on in time, I would lose my ever-loving mind. In a way, like it's like it was these outsized reactions because everything was on such a fine knife's edge.
Right.
Like I was building my business. I was, you know, trying to.
Well, you're at max level.
I'm at max level. So if anything deviated or went slightly astray, the whole thing went off kilter.
I know.
And so I would get like unreasonably mad about something that was seemingly inconsequential, but it was like it was like, you know, it was teetering on a knife's edge.
Right.
And so, and maybe it wasn't, but I felt like it was because I had so much on my shoulders and your mom probably had so much on her shoulders. And so you have these outsized reactions to things that seemingly were inconsequential. Those are the things I wish I could go back. So I totally empathize with your mom.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I wish I had been softer. I wish I hadn't yelled. I wish I hadn't freaked out. So I empathize with your mom.
Yeah. No, and that was one thing. And I said, you weren't.
Did you forgive her?
I did. You know, she wasn't like, do you forgive me for everything? And I said, Mom, you were a single mom with 5 kids. Like, look how everybody turned out. Everybody turned out great. And you have, you know, you instilled rules and values and you made sure what we did. And she's like, I know, but I was so mean. I go, you were doing what you had to do. That was it.
Did I ever tell you about, like, so I'm working on the second book and I'm talking with my editor. Did I tell you this story already?
I don't know. You've only told me a little bit.
Well, she's like,
oh, yes, you did.
yeah, where she's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Like that this character would like come from this background and like get into finance. And I'm like, all the strongest women I know in finance came from like the shittiest backgrounds where we just had to be like completely tone deaf and like absolute badasses that like just didn't care.
Right.
And we're fearless. Like that's what prepared us to be in finance.
That's exactly it.
So.
No, but I appreciate it. And I'll say one thing that I really learned from my mom. And when all 4 of us were at one of our beaches, and she had this friend that was a real loony, honestly. I mean, you know, look, when you grow up the way you do, there's some real sketchy characters that hang around in the neighborhood. Anyway,
in your orbit.
Yes. And so I was saying something to my mom about, we were talking about what it meant to be a good person, because I was like, well, that wasn't a very good thing that person did. And she was like, listen, I'm going to tell you. You can look at people and they can be, you know, beautiful, and they could be, you know, like say all the right things and do all the right things, but in their heart and in their soul and who they are and what their actions are, that determines who they are. So you can be as pretty as you want on the outside. It doesn't matter if you're ugly on the inside.
So basically she was saying my friend might seem like a loon, but she's a super good person.
Yes.
That's exactly it. That's amazing.
Yes. So, and she just talked about stuff like that.
And that is the truth.
It is the truth. And so, you know what? I've always used that as kind of a guidance as, like when you meet people and you talk to people and you're really getting to know them, I don't just listen to them for face value. I really listen to what is their tone? How are they saying? What is their body language? Like, that's how I get to know people, and that's how I connect with people, because it's so important. And I want to hear what they have to say. And then I tell stories because I feel like I can relate in certain situations, not all situations. Like nobody I know goes around and tells a story about laundromat and 75 cents and dental floss. But anyway, you know, it's just like, it's a humbling experience.
Or my grandmother who lived with us, who used to she'd go, she'd go out to the restaurant and just bring a big purse so she could like put all the like sugar packets and the ketchup packets and like the napkins into her purse and be like,
so
all right,
funny.
here we are.
Yeah.
But I think that what your mom taught you is so smart because, it's like that Mel Robbins book, The Let Them Theory.
Mm-hmm.
Like she basically was like she was the let them theory for the let them theory, or like where she was like, people just are who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like let them do that. But like if you know their heart is in the right place,
right?
Like it is. Those are the people that you want to let into your life.
That's exactly it. So it makes sense. And then after you get to talk to them a little bit, then you really get to see what their true colors are. And then you can kind of gauge like, are they going to be a friend at arm's length, or am I going to let them in? Or are we going to, go meet for drinks? Or, that's kind of how it flows in my world anyway.
Well, and that's a life lesson.
Yeah.
That's a life lesson. Like, don't just there's some statistic that like, you make a judgment about a person within, it's like either the first 3 or 5 seconds of meeting them, which
That's
is
why
insane.
I don't talk to people when I first meet them because I'm so chatty. I don't want to drive people bonkers. So I try to be like reserved. And then when they start talking, and then maybe like the second or third phone call, I'll start opening up a little bit, So yeah, it's a process with me.
I have not even noticed that
you
about
when
you.
I was like,
I'm just like, here I am.
Yep.
Take me or leave me. Exactly. Not everyone's going to like me.
Right.
All right. Anything else that you think we need to talk about moms and dads?
No, I think
we didn't really talk about dads that much, but
no, I know. Because the dads are important, but if you read the memes, again, they are always like, why do I call my mom first? Because my mom's already halfway down the block and my dad's still trying to find his keys, It's one of those things. Like, I think it's just a reaction for, moms. But, I'm fortunate enough to have a very great partner. My husband's amazing, and he actually turns 55 on Saturday. So cheers to senior citizenship, Wilson.
You got your AARP card when you turned 50.
He signed me up. I didn't even sign up for it. He signed me up like
I got the letter and I was like, you're going in the shred bin. Stat.
He signed me up and he was like,
nope.
If I'm doing this, you're doing it.
Nope.
So the other day I asked him.
I refused. I'm like, I don't care. I do not care.
But this is so funny. We were talking about booking something somewhere. And I'm like, hey, can you see if they have a senior citizen discount? Because you qualify. He was like,
we get a senior citizens discount. You know what the funniest thing is?
We do. I know Dale does because he's going to be 55.
Well, no, but 50, like you're AARP member.
Yes, I am.
So they like.
I'm going to have to check it out.
So Joshua brought his baby in like 2 weeks ago. He brought his baby in today, but he brought his baby in a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like holding the baby and he's like just like squishy, lovey, like he's amazingness.
So cute. Yeah.
And Josh is like, you thinking about having another one or something like that? And I was like, you have lost your ever loving mind.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Oh my God. Absolutely not.
Well, you know what? I really think that this podcast was great because you can reflect on appreciating everything that your parents are doing for you and have done for you and give them that love and appreciate it now in the now, because you never know, you never know. And you just want to make sure that even if you guys were to get into a fight or whatever, deep down, everything would be fine. Like that, you can't end on a note like that. You have such a loving relationship. And then with my family, like my mom, having her pass, it's nice to be able to reflect and talk about that. Like, we got to have those conversations and everything, for the last 7 days. And as a matter of fact, and we've talked about this, I think probably on one of our first or second podcasts, when she was in the ICU, she was in the hospital. She wasn't in ICU yet. I talked to her that night and I said, okay, my flight comes in tomorrow. I'm going to see you tomorrow. And she's like, okay. And then I said, it occurred to me. And I said, Mom, I'm so afraid I'm going to wake up one morning and never get to talk to you again. And she said, don't cry for me. I am so proud of you and I love you so much. And I said, I will not. And she goes, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. And then I got the call the next morning that she was in ICU. I know.
Making me
She's
cry.
crying. Nicole's crying now, everyone.
I don't have actual tears.
Yes, you do. I see them.
Well, they're in my eyes and they're not flowing down my face.
So I just told her, so anyway, the next morning I get the call that she's in ICU. She has to have emergency surgery. So I had to fly up there and I didn't get to talk to her again. That was our last conversation.
But what a great conversation.
It really was. And I'm glad we got to talk for the week before that because we really got to talk about a lot of stuff. But there's so much 9 years I haven't gotten to share with her that I actually am like, I do talk to her in the shower. I'll just say like, you know, I need you here right now.
After you're crying, after you cry it out, you're like, Mom. You know, I think the biggest loss of a mom is that, like, look, your kids are going to love you. Your spouse is going to love you. Like, your friends are going to love you. Like, people are going to love you. Nobody, and not everyone has this experience.
Right.
So I'm going to caveat that. But just about nobody loves you the way your mom loves you.
Exactly.
Like, your mom is like, you know, because as a mom now, I know what that feels like.
Right.
Like, I would take a razor blade and scrape all my skin off and roll in rock salt for my children.
Right.
Like, if they were I would climb Mount Everest with like a fucking Sherpa and that's it. Like, I would, like, with no oxygen, like I would do whatever needs to be done for my children. And I think as parents now, our parents never said that to us, but we know that.
Oh, of course.
Like, now we're like,
actually, my mom, you know, as all parents said, I brought you into this world. I can take you out.
I can take you out. And they did. They said that, look, the 70s and 80s were not the most PC when it comes to, like, you know, but that is the recognition now that, like, what you are losing is that person on the planet who would do anything for you.
That's exactly it.
And for the most part, that's true.
No,
for most parents, that's true.
So now I just hope that I can be that for my kids. You know, I mean, I know I am. I know they can come and talk to me. But the same thing, you know, my husband lost his mom last year, and he's been real great about it. And I mean, not saying that he hasn't had his sad moments, but not like me. I mean, but his mom was 83 also.
He had a different relationship with his mom.
He did. You know,
like, his mom was, I feel like, a more traditional mom.
Yes. Absolutely. 100%.
You know, more like a, you know, like,
and she loved me like her, you know, she treated me like just.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, when you have more, but that's when you have to be more reflective. Like, when you have more, quote unquote, traditional mom-child relationships, when you lose a parent, you're like, oh, well, everything just rolled out the way it was supposed to roll out. And it's like, no.
Right.
Your mom sacrificed.
Yep.
Your mom gave when she had nothing.
Yep.
She had nothing in the tank, and she gave to you. She swallowed and swallowed and swallowed and just said, I'm pushing it down, and it doesn't matter how much it hurts, and I am going to just take it. And so, like, when your mom is, anyway, so, and she did that even when she was the, like, you know, typical mom, the poster mom, poster child.
Right.
Anyway.
No, it's interesting. But I'm very grateful for her. I'm grateful for our memories. I think about stuff. I'll find, you know, pictures and they make me laugh, you know.
By the way, if my mom listens to this, she'll be like, why'd you talk about me dying?
Oh, we're not, Susan. We love you so much. You're so young. You're so young-spirited. You're going to live to be 93. That's my number. I'm putting it out there. I don't want to die young. I mean, like, I'm just turned 50 this year. I'm like, that's like 43 years. There's so much I need to do on this earth. 43 years is not enough
I want
time.
to build a little, like, tiny house community for all my girlfriends, because we're all going to outlive our significant others, because they're all older than us, and
then
they're
who's
men.
going to fix all of our stuff if Dale's gone?
No, we'll get like we're going to get just like a great handyman.
Were you going to say pool guy? I saw your mouth.
I was going to say pool guy. We would get an amazing pool guy. Why don't we get a super hot pool guy?
Yeah.
And a handyman.
Bonus.
Maybe they could be ex-firefighters.
There you go.
Hi.
Yep. That's hilarious.
Okay, so let's just bring this home, because I see you're like ready to like cry again.
No, I'm fine.
You are?
No, I am fine. I think it's always good to talk about it. You know, it's one of those things, you know, just growing up and working hard. And I love what I do. I love working hard. I can't imagine, like, you know, when I have some time off, I do enjoy that time off, because then I come back refreshed, recharged, ready to go, and I have more ideas. But at the same time,
girl, my vacation already is it's more scheduled than my life in the office.
Well, that's how it is. Like, you get busy and stuff. But Dylan and I, our 25th wedding anniversary is coming up, so I think we might do something. You know, we're trying to figure it out right now. Just because
when is that?
August 12th. So
can he travel?
Yes, you can travel now.
So why don't you do that? Why don't you do the cruise?
Because
then?
it's hurricane season. Yeah.
Oh.
So I think we might just go to the beach, just hang out at the beach, take the kids with us because even though they will be, it's like their first week back to school, but the week before Brooklyn goes to school, I think we just do one family time.
Go to California?
Yes. Just go to San Diego, get a house, just chill. But this sounds lovely, but you know what happens? The kids start fighting, then they need this, and they want to go here, and it becomes more stressful. And I'm like, do we just go by ourselves or do we take our
Kathleen?
kids?
Kathleen?
What?
Y'all are going to go by yourself.
Okay.
You're going to go by yourself.
But I feel bad because I feel
you know
like the
what?
kids
I am the boss of you. I am the boss of you, and the kids are staying home.
Yeah.
The kids are staying home. Like go.
Right. We can do something for spring break with them. We'll do our anniversary with us. And
you can go to the beach, but what about going to like Santa Barbara?
Okay. You know what is so crazy?
Because you were thinking about Santa Barbara, and we share a brain.
Do you want to know why Santa Barbara is so important?
Tell me why Santa Barbara is so important.
Because my husband proposed to me on his birthday in Santa Barbara. How did you know?
I didn't.
Yeah.
But inside, in my spirit, I knew. So here's the thing. There's actually a direct flight on American Airlines from Sky Harbor to Santa Rosa Airport, which is right by Healdsburg, which is actually the cooler part of like Napa, Sonoma. It's like, yes.
Oh.
And the same chef who started French Laundry has another restaurant, name escaping me, in Healdsburg.
Wow.
And that's where you need to go.
Okay.
So San Diego, I love you. And I would love you to go to San Diego.
But
get
Barbara,
that. No, look on American Airlines.
We will.
I'll give you miles. Go from, it's a direct flight. It's like 2 hours. So Sky Harbor, Santa Rosa, get a car service to pick you up, get an Airbnb, or there was an adorable Airbnb I stayed at, right at like walking distance to all like the town square in Healdsburg. That's what you need to do.
Okay. All right. I'm going to talk to Dale about it tonight. I am.
Dale.
He already knows. Like he's the one who said Santa Barbara.
Okay.
Because that's where he proposed.
That's where you need to go.
And it's our 25th wedding anniversary. So we'll go back. Yeah.
So actually that's north of Santa Barbara, but you can go to Santa Barbara as well.
That works.
Anyway. Okay. So either way, don't go to San Diego because that's where you've gone for all your like family stuff. Go to Santa Barbara or Santa Rosa.
Right.
One or the other.
Okay. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
This was a heavy podcast. I was not expecting this one.
I was going there. You didn't know it.
Nope.
I dropped breadcrumbs. Yes. I thought you would like.
Nope.
You thought it was going to be light. I was like, we're going to go deep.
We've actually done some pretty good light ones recently, but no, it was good. Okay. I appreciate you.
And I love you. Okay. What was your one good thing that happened this week?
My one good thing this week. You know what? I think that it is. I think that it's that Dale is still alive. And I'm not saying that his birthday is coming up this weekend, so we get to celebrate him. And he did so much for me and my birthday, as did you. And so I'm really looking forward to celebrating him this week. And,
Okay, so my one good thing is after I left my son at the airport in 116 degree weather because he was being a teen hole. And then I came back with like my family love letter about like what my expectations are. He has absolutely turned himself around. Now he's not like at 100%, but he's at like 75. And good. I am grateful for 75.
There you go.
So that's my one good thing.
There you go.
And I already gave my mom hack.
Oh, so you know what? I think my mom hack has changed. I think that it's really important for you to spend the time with your parents. And maybe if you're not having a great relationship with them, maybe it's time to make amends if they're older, or maybe there's something, and maybe you don't have a relationship with them at all. And maybe it's just write them a letter that you don't send to them, just getting it off your chest, because I think journaling is so important.
I'm going to co-sign on that. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to just say we're done.
Yeah.
And we are done talking. It's been a lot.
It has been a lot.
Your eyes are so glassy.
I know.
It's
good though.
It is. All right. I love you.
I love you too.
Cheers, everybody. And press and hold.
Press and hold.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Have an awesome 4th.
Yes.
If you didn't have it already. We don't know when this is dropping. Mwah.